Okay, so there's some new news that apparently, or not really news, but more so a rumor. There have been more rumors than there have been news about this film, but there's a rumor about what the new Spider-Man movie will be called. Now, a lot of people, I think the three most prominent adjectives, adjective-ish titles that have been used for Spider-Man are Amazing Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, and Ultimate Spider-Man. Now, there have been a lot of rumors that the new Spider-Man film is going now, and this is only a rumor, by the way, guys. It's but there supposedly Sony registered a name. Well, I think they did register a name, and people think that this name is going to be the title of the new Spider-Man film. Now, we've had a bunch of sources that um, that have said what they thought the Spider-Man film was going to be called. The first rumor came from, well, immediately when they first made the announcement that Spider-Man was going to be in the MCU and his own movie was going to come out in July of 2017. Um, I remember there were like a bunch of people going around saying, "Oh, it's going to be Spectacular Spider-Man, or it's going to be called Ultimate Spider-Man, or it's going to be called this or that or that." And personally, I've never been really a big fan of the title ideas for Spectacular Spider-Man or Ultimate Spider-Man because they sound a bit generic. Also, they've been used in television before. So yeah, but there were also rumors that it was going to be called Sensational Spider-Man or Astonishing Spider-Man. And I think that's just a little far-fetched. But my personal pick was I wanted it to be called The Avenging Spider-Man because it would really show that Spider-Man, he's becoming part of the Avengers, you know. It would really make sense. It would really show people that, Spider-Man is now a part of the Avengers, and it would be a good way to market the film, you know. You could really market it with a title like The Avenging Spider-Man. Um, Especially since, the other Spider-Man movies made about $700 million, which, well, The Amazing Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2 made $700 million at the box office, which is a lot, but not as much as Sony wanted. So, but those were the rumors, and then there was a source that came out from Latino Review saying the film was going to be called Spectacular Spider-Man, that Drew Goddard was going to direct it. I think that article is probably false now because it's already been debunked that Drew Goddard is going to direct Spider-Man. They already got somebody else to direct the new Spider-Man film that comes out next year. Um, so I doubt that's true. Then someone who apparently used to work for Latino Review, who's been right a lot, um, he apparently came out, and this was a very popular rumor. He came out and said that the Spider-Man movie was going to be called Spider-Man: The New Avenger, which is almost like sort of a parody of Captain America: The First Avenger. Now, I wasn't a big fan of that title idea because it doesn't really describe Spider-Man. The New Avenger doesn't really describe Spider-Man. It's not specific enough because think about it like this. Um, in all technicality, Black Panther, you could call the Black Panther movie Black Panther: The New Avenger because he's still a new Avenger. Um, Same goes with Ant-Man. I mean, he has his own movie already, but he's technically still a new Avenger. The same could be said for Captain Marvel, who's getting her own movie, or a lot of different people, Vision or somebody like that. So it's not really that descriptive in my opinion. Like the first Avenger, you couldn't describe anybody else as the first Avenger because in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, um, Steve Rogers, Captain America, Captain America is the first superhero who ever existed. So you can't really call somebody else the first Avenger, but you can call a, a ton of other superheroes a new Avenger. So it's not really that descriptive. So I didn't really like it for that reason. But after that, um we didn't really get that much, news after that about what it was going to be called. Up until eventually eventually what happened was there was apparently Marvel had registered a title that said, oh, well, Spider-Man is just going to be called Marvel Spider-Man. Now, frankly, I think if we're going to have this argument over what the title should be called, I don't think we should, I don't think Marvel should make it a main priority um to make, I don't think they should make the title a really, really big priority. I think it's only a priority in terms of marketing. Um, but in terms of the quality of the movie, it's not going to change anything because think about it. I mean, Superman Returns was a horrible movie, right? Well, if they had called it something else like Superman Man of Tomorrow or Superman Rises or something like that, it wouldn't have changed the movie. It wouldn't have made it any better or any worse, you know? Um, and the same thing goes with Spider-Man, with this movie, it doesn't matter if they change the title of the film, or it doesn't matter what they call the title of the film. It's not going to affect, the plot or the story or the characters in any way. But so I think at the very end of the day, I think they should come up with something unique. But if they can't think of anything unique, I think we should just go with Marvel's Spider-Man. And I know a lot of people have said, well, how are we going to differentiate this from the Sam Raimi movies? I think it's pretty easy to. All you really need to say is, well, Sam Raimi's films were called, all you have to say is, okay, Sam Raimi's film, Sam Raimi had Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, and Spider-Man 3. Um, Mark Webb had The Amazing Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. The new guy, who I think is named Nat Wolf or something like that, the new director, his movies are Marvel's Spider-Man. So I think the way everybody's going to differentiate it, if it's just called Marvel Spider-Man, is that it's just going to be called. People are just going to refer to it as Marvel's Spider-Man rather than just Spider-Man. But I think, yeah, but there was that. But then also apparently right after that there were apparently reports that apparently Marvel Marvel's the working title of the new movie is called Spider-Man Summer of George, which is a reference to an episode of Seinfeld, which Marissa Tomei, who's playing Aunt May, ironically starred in apparently. Um, which I mean, maybe it's about Spider-Man's summer vacation. I personally I'd like to see a teen comedy Spider-Man. I've always wanted to see a movie about Peter Parker that's a teen comedy, and I think that could work here. But who knows? Maybe they won't go for that. But apparently that was what the source had said, that it was going to be called, that the working title was Spider-Man Summer of George, which I think is a funny title. Um, Now it should also be noted, apparently, and this was pointed out to me by a couple people on Instagram. Um, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Apparently, it had a it it had originally when Marvel came out and said, "Okay, here's a working title." It wasn't called The Winter Soldier. It was called something else. It was like but it still has something to do with winter. It was like something like Captain America Icebreaker or something like that. Um, so I would expect, if this is the working title, if Summer of George is the working title, I would expect that is probably expect something that's going to be called something like that, something along those lines. But that's not even confirmed. But apparently, a new report is coming out. Yet again, another rumor, uh, just as true as the other ones, right? Apparently, this rumor is that it's going to be called Spider-Man Homecoming, which is actually a title I'm kind of digging. Um, Again, I've said I wanted Spider-Man to be a teen comedy, and I think this new MCU Spider-Man is the perfect opportunity to do that. And I do think it is going to be a teenage comedy. Um, and so I think, and a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, this is good. This confirms that symbiote is going to be in the new Spider-Man movie, right? Right? Because the Amazing Spider-Man issue, I believe, 252, even though the symbiote had first appeared in the Secret Wars comic book, Amazing Spider-Man number 252 is essentially the first comic book where symbiote appeared in a Spider-Man story. So the new rumor is that um, Spider-Man Homecoming is going to be it's going to be based off that issue, and therefore, because apparently, obviously, because it was based off Secret Wars, a bunch of superheroes, including Iron Man and Captain America were in it. So a lot of people think because of that Captain America, there's a likely chance that Captain America and Iron Man will be in this new movie. So because of that, a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, well maybe the symbiote will be in it as well." Now I don't think they're going to do the symbiote that soon. Now I'm a big fan of the symbiote, but just judging from Marvel's standpoint, I doubt they're going to do it so soon. Now, what I think that Sony might do is because Sony has confirmed they're doing a Venom spin-off movie, which we talked about in another video. Um, so I think that because of that, it's very unlikely Marvel will do Venom because or the symbiote or anything like that because obviously, for those of you who don't know, Sony has said that their Venom spin-off movie will not take place in the MCU. It will be a newly established universe that has Spider-Man in it, and possibly a couple other heroes, because Marvel, apparently the deal did allow Sony to use more of their superheroes in any movie they wanted. So we don't know if that'll be like a shared universe that they establish or anything. But Um, I do think, well, I from what I'm getting from this is that they're not gonna have Venom in the MCU. They're gonna just have that movie because think about it, like you and I, the big comic book readers, would go to see Venom, the Venom spin-off movie, and we would know that based off of the everything we had followed, we would know that Venom, that this is not the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Um, this is just a universe. This is just a newly established universe for Venom. Um, but if they had, Venom as a bad guy in one of the Spider-Man movies, in one of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, and then they had one in the Venom movie, anybody who's just an average moviegoer would watch the Venom movie saying, "Wait a minute, wasn't he in that last Tom Holland movie? Wasn't Venom in that last Tom Holland movie? And he was played by a different actor. Why did we have Venom in that other Tom Holland movie with Spider-Man, that Avengers movie, where he was played by this actor, but now we have this solo Venom movie where he's played by this completely different guy. How come?" Um, so I don't think so, but maybe I'm wrong, and I've had a theory for a while that they might do it the same way Secret Wars did it, where Spider-Man goes into space and gets the symbiote on, but I don't think I think instead of Secret Wars, maybe they'll replace that with Infinity War. Maybe in Infinity War, the Avengers and Spider-Man will go up into space, and maybe they'll go to fight Thanos. Spidey will get in a battle with Thanos. His costume will be damaged, and he'll get the black suit. That's just my theory if they do go with the symbiote. Um, and the Russo brothers have confirmed that Spider-Man will be getting a new costume in Avengers Infinity War Part 1. So yeah. But getting back to what I'm trying to say is, um, as for the title Homecoming, I don't think Homecoming has anything to do with Venom, or that comic book. I think Homecoming is just a reference to the fact that Peter is in high school, which would make a ton of sense. Um, and personally, I like it. I like the idea of having a teen comedy, and I think it's a good idea. Um, Now I don't know if this will be the title because this is just another rumor. Keep that in mind. So take it with a grain of salt. But if this does turn out to be true, it might not be the worst idea in the world. So that's just my thoughts on having the title be Spider-Man Homecoming. And also another thing is Spider-Man in a way is still coming home to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Um, so in a way, Homecoming could almost be like a reference to the fact that he's coming home, to his home studio. So that's what I think. Let me guys know what you think about this title, and I'm out.